Obama has recently announced a goal of cutting emissions by 30% by the year 2030, and he hopes this can be realised through regulation and by putting a price on carbon. Of course, Abbott is firmly against a carbon price and has been very vocal in his opposition. While in Canada, he formed an alliance with the Canadian PM against international moves to price carbon. Californian Congressman and climate expert Henry Waxman was not impressed, to say the least.
Well, I just think they're going to be, rather than leaders, they're going to be behind-the-scenes laggards. They're going to be pulling in the wrong direction.
But Abbott says he does want to do something about climate change, just not something that most climate experts reckon will actually cut emissions.
Tony and Obama have so much in common. They both like water sports, wearing hats, and then, of course, there's the sex appeal. They've got all the ingredients for a burgeoning bromance, which is why I spend all day coming up with fun couple names for them, like Tobama, Barabbit, and Torak. Well, perhaps not Torak. But on the eve of their meet-up in Washington, it seems the love-in could be over before it begins. All because of this guy, Canadian Prime Minister and Tobama homewrecker Stephen Harper. Harper and Abbott's plan to team up against Obama's climate change strategy could lead to one of the biggest bust-ups in our historically close relationship in, well, history.
This is going to be one of the most significant long-term challenges, if not the most significant long-term challenge that this country faces and the planet faces.
Preservation of our environment is not a liberal or conservative challenge. It's common sense.
Climate change is a significant global issue. Is it the most important issue the world faces right now? I don't believe so.
So what's the diff? Tony's direct action plan involves companies choosing to reduce their emissions in return for money from the government in order to hit the target of a 5% reduction in carbon emissions by 2020. Whereas Obama's plan requires all coal-powered generators to reduce their emissions by 30% by 2030, whichever way they choose, including an emissions trading scheme. And while Mr. Abbott reckons our plan is actually pretty good, senior US Democrat Henry Waxman has a different view.
The Prime Minister there wants to repeal it or change it into some kind of voluntary system. That never worked anywhere.
So, with the US pushing for climate change to be added to the upcoming Brisbane G20 summit agenda, and Tony adamant that the focus be on the economy, could storm clouds finally be gathering over our sunny friendship?
I am not going to take action on climate change, which clobbers our economy. I'm just not.
Yeah! To talk about this, we have former Liberal leader Dr John Hewson with us. John, let us in on what's going to happen when they meet. I mean, are they really going to discuss climate change, or are they just going to be diplomatic and talk about something else?
Well, I think Obama will want to address climate change. He's made it the sort of the defining issue of the second term of his presidency, and I guess Tony's going to have to duck and weave around it a bit because he won't want to talk about it. He'll say he's got a policy, he's got a different response. But it's a first-order issue, and I think it's hard to imagine it won't be addressed.
John, Obama and the US pushing to have this included on the G20 summit, but really, it is our summit. Tony Abbott has said that he doesn't want it included. What sort of influence will the US have?
Look, I think it'll end up on the agenda. I think when he met the French President Hollande, he wanted it on the agenda. I can't imagine why you wouldn't put it on this agenda. Abbott wants some support, I guess, for this profit-shifting initiative, the tax initiative. I guess there's a trade-off there. He puts it on the agenda, he gets some support. I don't know. Will he negotiate? Who knows?
But, John, Abbott has expressed his great desire to be very close to Barack Obama. Is this going to lead to a frosting of our relationship with the US?
Look, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to matter too much. Obama's got a very clear agenda now, and he's doing everything he can on climate change beyond the Congress, and he's doing it very well. And to some extent, we're going to be left behind as a laggard if we go ahead with the Abbott policy, abolishing the carbon tax and so on. As we go into next year in the drift towards the Paris meeting at the end of the year, there's going to be mounting pressure on the international community and on Australia as the US, and I think probably in conjunction with China, lead the process to something of an international agreement, some understanding on emissions reduction, perhaps even some understanding on the pricing of carbon.
And John, here on the show, we've had a bit of a laugh highlighting Tony's awkward moments on his North American trip. So Tony wanders in here to some sort of dinner, meets this guy. Hey, buddy, how are you? Anyway, Tony, I'm going to bugger off. I'll let you hang out with these guys. OK. Yeah. Alrighty. I will... G'day over there. Hey, anyone?
Scott, my mates, as you said last night.
Andrew Robb. I'm ignoring him. He should have been here earlier. But on a serious note, how would you rate so far this North American trip?
Well, I mean, I think he's doing what he wanted to do, and it's predominantly for domestic consumption. He's about as well known in the US as the Socceroos are, so, I mean, he's not that well known. And when he went to the New York Stock Exchange, I noticed the market actually went up that day by a couple of points, so he'll claim that as a victory, I'd imagine.
Always good to have you on, John. Thanks for your time.